Would you consider yourself a high-level entrepreneur? Now, most likely, if you're listening to this, you definitely are. And what I've heard over and over and over again is it's hard to find like-minded people that are like that too. Again, I'm from Maine, so I totally understand how difficult it can be. Thank goodness I have an amazing online community, so I know tons of them. And that is exactly why we are starting this brand new mastermind group with high-level, like-minded entrepreneurs, the ones that you know you can go alongside with that will help move you to the next level, let alone with kick butt coaching from me, because I like to slap you around, both on focus and on strategy. So if you're looking to double or triple this year, which I know most of you are, I want you to go ahead and apply and see if it's a good fit for you. I will totally tell you if it's not and if I wouldn't do it if I were you. But go to eventualmillionaire.com/apply. We are looking for amazing, like-minded entrepreneurs. My previous mastermind members have told me it is life changing. So take the time today, fill out the very quick application, and we'll see if it's a fit. Take care.
Potent advice and inspiration from real self-made millionaires. Welcome to The Eventual Millionaire with your host, Jaime Masters.
Hey, it's Jaime, and welcome to a selects edition of Eventual Millionaire. This is where we go back and find the best of the best, the ones that you loved from the past 6-7 years. We've been doing this a long time, and there's some amazing interviews with amazing guests that you have not seen yet. So we are bringing them back. It is the selects edition. Let us know what you think, and I hope you enjoy. Welcome to Eventual Millionaire. I'm Jaime Masters, and I am so excited to have Dina Dwyer Owens on the show. It's been months waiting for her to come on the show. I so appreciate. She owns Dwyer, or is co-chairman of Dwyer Group, a humongous franchisor that's over 2,700 franchisees. So thank you so much for coming on the show today.
It is my honor, Jaime. Thank you.
Well, and I want you to spell it, your website. So I didn't say it, so that way we can go ahead and spell it for everyone so they can check it out, because you got some cool stuff there. So
Yes.
How do you actually spell your name?
Yep, it's DinaDwyeroWens at, where am I? DwyerGroup.com? No? Dina Dwyer Owens at
You're doing DinaDwyerOwens.com.
.com.
Yes, I know. I messed you up there.
It's
Don't worry about
it. Jaime. DinaDwyerOwens.com. That is it.
I know. I'm so used to saying stuff like that too. I totally get it. Well, and thank you so much. So you're co-chairman of Dwyer Group. So tell us a bit about Dwyer Group, and then we're sending people to your website, which is totally separate. So how the heck did you guys get so big?
Yeah, so Dwyer Group is a values-guided, those are the secret words, values-guided world leader of franchise businesses focused on repairing, maintaining, and enhancing customers' homes and businesses. So in business for almost 37 years now this March, and was founded by my father, the late Don Dwyer, who had a vision of having a collection of franchise companies serving the same customer base. And so we just launched another great program called Neighborly. GetNeighborly.com is a community of home service experts. So any of your listeners, if they need, because if they're busy like you and I, building our businesses and the lives we want to live, we don't have time for fixing stuff at home. So GetNeighborly.com is a new place that they can go. It's free of charge to find the best service providers who happen to be our franchisees that they can trust to come in and take care of their homes and businesses. So really it started with a vision, Don Dwyer's vision.
So it's crazy. I was looking at the list and I've used a bunch of them, like Mr. Rooter, Portland Glass. I was from Portland, Maine. I thought it was a local company.
Yeah.
You guys are in Waco, though. I'm like, okay, well, that's amazing, because I thought it was local already. So how did you, when you got into all this, how did you start to learn about this type of business? It's a very specific subset, right? Service for the specific avatar, which is genius, by the way, to just do the same marketing to the same people. But how did you start really understanding that? I know your dad did it, but how did you get into it?
Yeah. Well, I grew up in the business, of course, having a father who's entrepreneurial, kind of put myself and my 5 siblings right into the business world very early on. And the thing that he probably pounded into us more than anything is the importance of a good, strong work ethic based on values. So I grew up in the business, and what he always said is, you can achieve anything you want to in life, like you're doing, Jaime, if you have clarity of what it is you want to achieve. So that's a big thing we do as a franchise organization, is help our franchisees get clear about what is it you want to achieve out of your life, and how is this franchise, this business, going to be the vehicle to help you achieve that. So it started off by just him doing the same thing with his kids that we do with our own franchisees, help you get clarity, and then help you understand why you've got to lead with values and how values will really be the driver of your success.
Okay, I want to go deep into a lot of different things. So first, the child aspect. When you were growing up, I have kids, so I always want to find out from people who grew up with parents that actually were entrepreneurial. How does he actually not make you, but how does he instill work ethic when you guys already see what he's created? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And make you is probably when you're 12 or 13, you feel like you're being made.
I want to
go
make
out.
my children exactly, but they don't like that.
And I didn't like it either. But you know what, Jaime? One regret I have, and I love my kids dearly, is I was a bit too easy on them because we
Ooh.
learn from our parents what we want to do and what we don't want to do. And I should have made them go to work at 12 and 13 like I was made to. It was a big mistake looking back because although they don't mind working at all now, there are lessons they didn't pick up at a young age that I did that I look back and I'm so grateful for. But he did make me. I mean, I wasn't having the slumber parties with my friends, getting up late Saturday mornings. I was going to the car wash, working at the pumps at the car wash. And I'm so grateful looking back that he made me. I didn't like him some days. I did not like him very much, but he wasn't there to be my friend. So make your kids.
Okay. One more question about the kid thing because it's true, right? So my kids are stilt walkers because we're crazy and weird. So they make more money doing that than anything that I can give them for a job, and they're like, I don't really want to do that, right? So don't get me wrong, and they're savers and all that fun stuff. But do we, as parents, how do we make them in a way that's not? It's fine for them to hate us a little bit, but not forever or stifling what they actually want to do in life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's being clear about what your values are. So when you think about work ethic, I think it has to be netted out. It's one thing to say work ethic, but let's get specific. At Dwyer Group, we're very specific. We say our values around work ethic have to do with respect, integrity, customer focus, and having fun. And we can spend a day talking about these, but I'd like to dive into the degree you want to, because under each one of those categories of values, we're specific. So what do you mean by respect? Well, we mean treating others as we'd like to be treated. We mean listening with the intent to understand what is being said and acknowledging that what is said is important to the speaker. So we're very clear about what do we mean by respect, and in raising our kids and raising our company, let's be clear about what we expect. And if you want to be part of this family, part of this company, this is who we are.
Okay, so how did you know I was going to go right into values, right? So I have my company values back here. We have our family values downstairs, but they're not the same. And what's crazy is it sounds like yours actually quite align for your family values also. So how tell us the rest of what each one of them means, please, because it definitely stands for something. But also go into a little detail on how you show not only your kids, but your franchisees to actually align with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. So just going to reach a little deeper. So we came up with our 4 core areas that were important to us. And again, respect, integrity, customer focus, and having fun. And Don Dwyer lived and believed those. But we said under each one of those areas, we need clarity, because your kids may define respect differently than my kids. My kids are in their 20s. And so you have to say, what do you mean by respect? And so as I said, treating others would like to be treated. Listening with the intent to understand what's being said. Speaking calmly and respectfully without profanity or sarcasm. Acknowledging everyone is right from their own perspective. And so the kids should be acknowledged that they're right from their perspective as well as we should be. And then we move into integrity. And integrity is things like making only agreements we're willing, able, and intend to keep. And then communicating any potentially broken agreements if for some reason we can't keep that initial agreement. And then it goes into much deeper, looking to the system for correction when things aren't working. And in franchising, we're all about systems. What we do is we take what's most important in business and we create systems around it. So when something is broken, whether it's at work or at home, my mind automatically goes to where is there a systems breakdown versus pointing the finger at people. So that's under integrity. Let's see what's else under communicating honestly and with purpose is under integrity. Asking clarifying questions if we disagree or we don't understand is under integrity. And my father taught me that. As scared as I was of him when I was young and working for him, he said, you got to be willing to ask me for clarity, because he would just shout those orders out and I would go away confused. And until I learned to slow down and say, hey, boss, dad, I need more information. I don't know how to do this. I've never done it before. That was a big lesson for me. Probably the hardest one under integrity is never saying anything about anyone that we would not say to him or her. And our employees actually created that one. Nice. Then we go to customer focus is really all about continuously striving to maximize internal and external customer loyalty. And that could be with your family too. Be loyal to your family first. and then be loyal to those around you. But it's all about taking care of family first. Making our best effort to understand and appreciate the customer's needs in every situation. That's why we're in business. And then finally, having fun in the process. And we could go all day about defining that, but fun is different for each one of us. You have fun helping other entrepreneurs achieve their first million, achieving success, and enjoying life in the process. So having fun in the process has to do with doing what you love and loving what you do, and not letting other people keep you from doing that. So that's kind of encapsulating what we mean by our values at Dwyer, and they do benefit us at home as well as at work.
So I love, everybody asks about company values and stuff like that. And they're like, well, do we really use them? Blah, blah. You have said that so many times before, I can tell. You're like, I know these so well,
Yeah.
and I live by them because it's sort of the point, right? It sounds like they've evolved though. So not only are they just the words, they have so much more meaning behind the words. So it's not, because even when I ask people like, oh, integrity, well, of course, everybody's going to put integrity, but the clarification makes a huge difference. So how did they start and how have they evolved? Were they just the words at the beginning and you guys added stuff as you went, or did it already begin with the amazing amount of definition that you had before?
Yeah, no, they actually started being more emotionally based beliefs. So when Don Dwyer founded the company, it was really more about things like loyalty adds meaning to our lives. Another one was that I'll never forget, we must re-earn our positions every day in every way. And
that sounds like your father, and I don't even know him. Yeah,
well, it was. It's like celebrate the successes of the past, learn from the mistakes, but what are you going to do today to make a positive difference in the lives of your family, your employees, your franchisees, your customers? So he passed away of a sudden heart attack at the age of 60, young guy.
Wow.
To me, it's very young, right? I'm almost 55. So 1993 took the company public. 1994 dies of a heart attack. And as an organization, as a leadership team, we said, how do we keep this culture special? Because what Don did with the values is created this amazing culture that people were attracted to. It's one thing about having clarity of your values is you'll attract the right people because they want to be part of what you're creating. So we said, how do we do that? We took his original values, those beliefs, and we operationalized them. And that's where the rich was formed. And it was a lot of time. It took us about a year to really get clear about those before we ever even shared them with our franchisees. As a team here at Dwyer, 1995, 1996, we said, we think we have what's going to keep the culture special, but how do we indoctrinate it into the company? And where most companies fail, most families, most nonprofits fail with their values is they've got them written up on the board or they've got them on their website, but they haven't created the system around the values to keep them front and center in their business. And that's what we do at Dwyer. We're franchising. Like I said earlier, we take what's most important, we create systems. So with our values, we said, we don't want to be guilty of what 95% of the companies in North America are guilty of. Having written values, but never implementing, never executing. So we said, let's create a simple system so that the values remain alive in this company, whether the CEO, the founder is alive or not. They remain alive as we go from 1.5 billion now to 2 billion in sales. And the way we do it is simple. Anytime we have a meeting of 3 or more of our team members or our franchisees, we begin the meeting by reviewing the values. Sometimes we actually review all 15, which is a lot. I get it. Only takes a few minutes, but it takes everybody to slow down and take that deep breath. This is who we are. This is how we behave. This is how we treat one another. Sometimes we just take one value and we say, look, it's the new year. This is the value I need to get better at. In fact, our CEO is off at a retreat right now with all of our presidents, and we've got like 17 brand presidents. And the first thing I'm guessing that he's doing this morning is saying, let's talk about a values resolution for the new year. Let's go around the room. Let's have everybody say, what's the one value you're committed to getting better at this year? And I'm always so impressed by that because people are very honest, at least in our organization, about what they need to get better at. So day in and day out, we talk about the values. We work hard to live the values, not perfect. We work hard to live the values. We work hard to hold ourselves accountable as well as holding one another accountable. And that's what's going to take Dwyer to the next billion.
Okay. And implementation of values. I get that question all the time. People are like, yeah, so I have them and then what? So I want to dive into systems times 1,000 because this is where especially the newer small business owner isn't very good at it. And I don't think they even understand the level that franchisees have as far as systems go. Can you sort of paint a picture of what is systemized, which I'm sure is a ridiculous amount for a typical franchisee that you've got. So that way we can show sort of the spectrum of where we could be as small business owners.
Right. And systems are the key to success. So I'm so glad that you're teaching your listeners all about systems. So it really starts with how do we recruit, train, and retain team members. So one of the things that franchisees have to be very good at is recruiting, training, and retaining team members. So there's systems all around that. They've got to implement those systems because we're not the employer, right? Franchisees are independent business people who are benefiting from years of systems that we've created that we train them to follow. And if they follow those, they will find great success. Then it goes to the whole, how do you market to the customers? How do you close the deal with the customers, and how do you retain those customers? So the whole marketing piece is systematized. Then you think about just how do you make a profit? We're all in business to make money, and for some of us, it's not about, we don't have to make a lot of money. We have to make a living and love what we do, and that's really what's most important. And the more we make, the more we can help others. But we have to help our franchisees understand how to read their financial statements, how to track those key indicators, and manage to those key indicators. It's that slight difference you can make in a key indicator that can boost your profitability operationally. So their systems just from the frontline steps. So when one of our franchisees comes to your home, and thank you for using some of our services, when they come to your home, there is a system they should be following, from where they park their vehicle to putting the doormat down before they come into your home, putting the shoe covers on. There are clear systems for the experience we want you to have as a consumer. So you go, wow, I expected Mr. Reader to come in and fix the plumbing problem, but I didn't expect to have an amazing experience with a plumber, right? So all the systems are operationalized. So those are kind of the four core areas. And when it comes to the whole technology piece, that's another system in itself. That's the back office that helps with everything that we just kind of talked about. So if they utilize all the tools, technology tools that we have, that brings it all together.
Are they internal tools? Like, do you guys have your own proprietary internal system that you guys use?
In some cases on the technology side, we do. In other cases, we actually work with individual companies that we find to be really great in that particular space. And we do have some proprietary connections with those organizations that are just serving our franchisees with some unique products.
Okay, so I have questions on this too, especially because I'm working on a new brand with systems, all about systems, because I see all of my people reinventing the wheel and using all different technologies, and then nobody can figure out all the pieces, and there's nobody to ask as an expert for it. So this is what's great for you guys, is you're like, all we do is we stamp it. We know exactly what each piece looks like every single time, which is wonderful. And I want to try and morph that into what you guys are doing into small business owners. So if you could explain sort of some of the systems, or how you hold these systems together so that they can actually follow them and use them, right? Are you using, I don't know if proprietary or not, but if you could give me an example of teaching how to do sales better, how to do this, how do we actually train the franchisee along with looking at the systems, and do they pull up the tech and go through the videos, or what are the pieces, and how can we actually ingrain it in their heads? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Training. So, one of the core competencies of any great franchise organization is training. Here at our campus, if you ever get a chance, you're in Austin now, Waco's right down the road.
I had no idea. Perfect.
Yeah. If you want to come down and just take a tour of what we're doing here. So every one of our brands has their own unique training. Now, the cool thing about Dwyer is we've this amazing synergy of we're serving the same customers, as I stated earlier. So the first day of what we call basic training in Waco, like I teach a class called Design Your Life, and that's, again, helping the franchisees get clarity about what they want in their lives and how the franchise is going to be the vehicle. Same thing with associates. How is this career going to help you get what you want to get in your life, holistically? So the first day of basic training, we bring all the franchisees together. We focus on those things that are key: leadership, designing their lives. We talk about the overall neighborly brand and how together we're going to serve the same customer base. And so first day basic training is very global. It's across all of our brands. And then every one of our franchisees breaks out into individual training classes. So when you think about somebody coming in for Molly Maid, which is our maid cleaning service, one of ours, we also have Bright and Beautiful in the UK, but when they come in, they have specific training that they're going to learn with Molly Maid. Everything from how does the maid clean the house? Believe it or not, there's a system, a written system for how the maid cleans the house. And it's not that we train once, Jaime. We've got to train again and again and again. And just when you think you've trained enough, train again, right? So the systems are all written. We've got expert trainers on our staffs in every one of our brands who do this training. That training can be done physically, whether it's in Waco, Texas, or in the Ann Arbor headquarters we have for Molly Maid and Mr. Handyman. or in the UK or Germany, wherever we might have one of our headquarters, it can be done online. So a lot of our training is done just like this. Somebody's calling in and listening, or we're doing a webinar or a web shop where people are involved. They can join as many of those as they'd like because we want the franchisees to get as much training as they think that they need. And then they've got to take that back and they've got to train their team members to it.
And it's all live, or is some of it recorded?
Some of it's recorded, just like you. They can go back into the archives and say, I feel like we're getting a little stale, a little rusty on our frontline steps. I need to bring my entire team back through the frontline training steps. So they can go online and they can pull that. Every one of our brands has an intranet site that's got all these resources available to them.
Great.
So they can go back and they can retrain as often as they'd like.
So tell me a little bit about the internet stuff, because I don't think a lot of small business owners, especially in the 6-ish figure range and even low 7 figures, aren't great with this. So what does the intranet site look like? What does it have on it? What are the most important things? You were talking about key indicators. Where do they keep the key indicators so that way they're paying attention to them?
Yeah. Well, and again, for a young company, most companies are not that sophisticated.
Yes.
Not to discourage anybody, but we've been doing this for 37 years. And so don't get frustrated. For your listeners, I would say don't get frustrated, but please pay attention to the importance of documenting your systems. And those systems then can be put on your intranet site so that people are not having to rebuild the wheel again. The wheel's been built. So document it and put it on your intranet site. So let's say you hire a new team member, somebody who's out there as a young entrepreneur, you hire a new team member to have to recreate, what am I supposed to train them on in orientation? Have it already written down and maybe have somebody who's the champion of doing the orientation overview and assign that to somebody. People want those responsibilities. Let somebody own it, but document it because that person may not be with you forever.
Yes.
So make sure you document it. The intranet site can have all those tools. It even has tools on the rich values. So I've got a whole session I teach on the rich values. They can access that on our intranet site. So all of you building businesses, if you're doing any kind of training, record it. Record yourselves training, capture it, put it on your intranet site. Just make it part of your library of great training tools available. So again, you're not recreating the wheel once you've already created it. You can always improve it because that's never ending, but don't recreate it. So anything you have that has to do with making your company better, systems related to people that need to be trained to, have that all available on your intranet site and just build it as you go. You're not going to get it all done overnight. And that's why people join us as a franchisee, because we have many people who I'll never forget. Mike Evans from Montana. Mike had 9 glass shops where he did, glass repair as well, flat glass as well as auto glass. And he'd been talking to our Glass Doctor team for a couple of years. I finally made the decision to invest in a Glass Doctor franchise. He marched himself up to my office 2 days after training, and he said, Dina, I am here to tell you that I was kidding myself that I could create all the systems that Glass Doctors created over the past 35 years on my own. So he discovered that there are tools that Glass Doctor had that he needed that he was never going to create, and decided I'm better being part of this organization than being out there by myself. Now, that may not be the case for your listeners. Maybe they're in a unique business and they're creating it, but there are still tools out there. I think about financial training tools. Maybe there's a tool you promote for your listeners to utilize. You know what? Use it. Don't build your own financial training tool.
Yes.
Use what's out there.
Because you won't, right?
That's right. Because you won't. Exactly.
Well, that's the biggest issue that I have. Most of small business owners care so much about sales and marketing, right? So online, they're like, tell me everything about sales and marketing. And then they know they need to do systems, but it always goes to the very, very bottom, right? Even though they know they'll be more efficient, effective, they'll probably even retain customers better, whatever the piece is. But they're so worried about top line revenue that it sort of all falls by the wayside. So sometimes they have SOPs or standard operating procedures that sort of sit and don't do anything and aren't updated and nobody sort of looks at. So that's not helpful either. So what do you suggest? Because you've been in this game for a long time, the training, and of course you have the resources to do that. But for somebody who doesn't have that as far as a capacity of resources like you do, how can we actually implement this stuff as a small business owner? Like, how do we 80-20 what you guys did in 30 years so we can actually use the stuff we're creating?
Right. Create what's most important. And don't get on a bunch of bunny trails, because those of us who are young, new entrepreneurs, many times we get excited about this and this and this and this and this when we still haven't gotten our core where it needs to be. So one of the things Dwyer had to do, believe me, we went through our bumps. what we had to do is finally say, who are we? Because we can't be everything to everybody. Who are we? And what are the things that are most important to making sure that we excel in those areas of who we know we are? And as the leader, especially, so the person who's listening to us right now is the leader, right? They're the entrepreneur. They're the one who's building this business, must take responsibility and must be focused on, if I don't want to do this piece, this standard operating procedure, I've got to have somebody who's going to do it for me and own it.
Yes.
Because, as entrepreneurs, we're excited about certain things, we're passionate about certain things, but we don't like to do all the other stuff. So delegate to somebody on your team. One of the greatest lessons I learned as a young person, because my father also had me listen to people like you. I mean, and back then it wasn't this cool. Back then it was cassette tapes, right? But I would listen to these cassette tapes on how to be the best leader. And I heard over and over again, you got to surround yourself with people that are stronger than you are. Let them do the things that you're not great at and be okay with it. Inspect what you expect, but let it go. Let them do it, because we get in our own way. So I think part of the problem with entrepreneurs is we're juggling all these balls and we think we can do it all ourselves, when in fact we can't. We have to say what's most important to this business. I need to stay focused on what's most important and then delegate those things to people who will be champions.
Okay, so I have so many questions involved in just that piece. How do we let it go? Because that's tough.
Yeah, I think it's a reality check. I'm only good at a few things. If I'm really honest with myself, I'm good at a few things. And I have to say to myself, I can't be great at a bunch of stuff. So I've got to say to myself, what do I need? What positions do I need to fill in? And sometimes it takes a little while because it takes money to be able to invest in those positions. Mm-hmm. But go ahead and put them on your vision chart. What positions do I need to fill? And by what date do I want to fill those? And then make sure you don't give in to the first person that you bring in because I just need that. I need somebody in that seat now. Take your time to really recruit. And I think I've got off track a little bit of your question.
Well, it's one thing, even if we have somebody we trust in the position potentially, which is sometimes wrong, because I assess employees quite often when I coach someone and I'm like, oh no, you should have fired them a long time ago. I'm sorry. Right. Yeah. So that's one reason why they can't let it go. But we as entrepreneurs do think we can do it all. And we're not necessarily great managers. Even if we're leaders, we're not necessarily great managers. So how do we let go and let them do the process the way they want to do it and chop off us being micromanagers?
Yeah, I think it's a mental and emotional thing. It has to do with ego. We got to get our egos out of the way. And once you allow your ego to get out of the way, you'll have a lot more fun. Because what I have found is entrepreneurs who think they can do it all. In fact, I'll be coaching one. We're heading to a leadership summit in Jamaica with our top franchisees, and there's one young guy who is so ambitious, who so knows that he gets in his own way, that he's reaching out for coaching. And that's why people are listening to you, because they know they need the coaching. Listen to the coaches, right? If the coach is saying, you really shouldn't be the one doing this, get out of your own way, then get out of your own way.
Is that all it takes as a coach? Is that what you're going to tell him? Just stop doing this and you'll learn from experience? Or how do you coach someone in that? Tell the listener that's listening going, oh, that's me. I know it's a problem, but I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I had him do was to assess his strengths and his weaknesses. And there was a tool. We had Stephen M.R. Covey spoke at our convention back in September, and he had a wonderful tool that I had suggested to this young man. Assess yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And that might mean that your employees need to do some assessing too. And don't get defensive, right? You've asked them to fill this out. So let's face the truth about you, right? Sometimes it hurts a little bit. But once you face the truth and you take that deep breath and go, oh, that really is me, isn't it? I really do that. And I cause fires. I create fires in my own organization because of this drama that I create, because I come up with new ideas every day and we haven't even fulfilled the idea that I came up with last week. So it's really comes down to, as leaders, saying to ourselves, I got to be okay with this. And it takes time. I mean, I'm going to be 55, as I said. So be patient with yourself. It does take time, but recognize your unique strengths and your unique abilities and play to those strengths. And be okay with letting the other stuff go.
I adore that. I used to be an engineer and a project manager, and I realize now I hate detail. I hate details. I can do it, but I white knuckle everything. And I was like, but I was I made six figures at 22. I was awesome. No, I hate it.
You're miserable. Yeah.
Yes, it would make, and that's what I noticed. It would make me upset when someone would come at me with tons of details. I'd be like, okay, great. which was really really painful to understand and a wonderful wonderful thing because I have other people that will project manage everything now. So
Yeah.
when people are understanding, okay, I know I need to let go. I feel like my staff is good enough for now to handle this stuff and I can feel like I can do the process to let go besides the mental parts. How do we determine what are those most important processes for our own business to really refine and make useful?
Yeah. Well, and I was just, as you were saying all those things,
Uh-huh.
you reminded me that for 15 years, I actually had a coach.
Uh-huh.
So I was
15
part of the
years.
15
Wow.
years. I was part of the strategic coach program
Of
the entire
course.
time I was CEO.
Uh-huh.
And one of the greatest things about that was getting away from the business every 90 days, looking at the business, right? So looking at the business and my personal life and going through a series of coaching steps. It was as much about having, I mean, there was great coaching, but it was much about me getting away from the
Mm.
business and looking at it and saying, what is most important? And we really do know what's most important. And then getting all the other garbage out of the way and saying, for the next 90 days, I've got to hunker down and focus in on these things that are going to get me closer to achieving the success that I know the business can achieve, but for me personally as well. So it's that never ending revisiting. You have to constantly revisit, and the rate of change is changing, right? So things are moving so fast today. It's easy to get swept up by the speed of that. And I think about our franchisees and the new franchisees that are coming to us. The world is so complex now. Just thinking
Mm.
about social media, when I think about people who are already out there, they're plumbers, they're electricians, or they want to get into their own small business, and they get stuck even just thinking about what social media tools should I be utilizing and how much time should I spend on these and how much money should I invest in these. So you need some coaching if you don't have the answers, whether it's becoming part of a franchise organization, utilizing your tools that you already have on your website, reaching out and joining other organizations in your community and just learning from others, getting that mentorship and that coaching that helps you get clarity about what is it I really need to hunker down on and then stay focused.
Yeah, because stop doing that and go do this. And they're like, oh, okay, good. Yeah, I just want to be told what to do. And because it is never ending.
Mm,
Unfortunately, or fortunately, I should say, right? If things stop growing and progressing, that's not necessarily good either, right? Then we're
yeah,
dead. So
right.
so that never ending process, how do we get okay with never ending, like never feeling like you fully achieve what you want to achieve? I'm sure you talk about some of this stuff too.
Yeah. It's just life, isn't it? I mean, if just the reality of life is it's never ending, there's always going to be change. Um, and even at my age and the years that I've been working at Dwyer, 37 years, I am still growing. And when I quit growing, like you said, I'm going to die. So one of my personal values is to always be learning. And it's always reaching out, not having the fear of asking for help,
Mm.
because I find that there are some entrepreneurs who want to have all the answers and are afraid to ask for help. So with all that change, go ask for help. Go attend the conferences you need to attend. We're going to rub elbows with the people who have already done it or are doing it. And you know that you can learn from them. And I find that people are so gracious. If they'll just walk up to somebody and say, look, I admire you. I appreciate what you've built. I'm trying to build something here too. Could you give me some guidance and give me some help? And I've never been turned away. I've never had anybody tell me, no, I'm not willing to help you. Now, maybe they don't have the answers for me, but they'll give me some guidance. So life is all about change and growth. And just understand that. Don't fight it. It's just the way it is.
Yes, it's accepting it though is easier said than done,
That's
right?
right.
Okay, great, awesome. I know that logically, and then when I'm in my business going, right, we kind of forget. And
Yeah.
it's a never-ending not I shouldn't even say battle. It's a
It's not a
never-ending
battle.
wonderful journey of knowing yourself better and getting
Right.
better and better and better as you go through. So give us a couple quick tips if you can on systems. Like what are the things that you guys found after all of this many years that have worked really, really well, whether it be in training or documenting or the sweet pieces that we don't know about yet that might be helpful for us?
Yeah. I'm going to go right back to the specific values system because I think that's the one
Okay.
thing that I can help your listeners with today. So there's lots of systems I could talk about, but let's just talk about values. As you think about your business, have you gotten clarity about your values? And I'm going to provide a tool at the end of the talk
Okay.
here that will help them. But have you gotten clarity of your values? And if you have, is your team aligned? I mean, have you surrounded yourself with a team of people who are aligned with your values? You want diversity on your team, right? You need people who are going to complement your strengths and your weaknesses. You need people with different ways of thinking, But the one thing you got to have the same is alignment on your values, because if you don't, it's going to be a hodgepodgey business that's going to continue to frustrate you. We're going to deal with change anyways, but you want to deal with a lot of change, have a bunch of people on your team that aren't aligned on their values. So it's having that alignment of your values. And then the system is whatever you want to make it. So around your values, to me, it's all about keeping it simple. We can make our businesses so much more complicated than we need to. And when I think about your values and the system around your values, it's about keeping them front and center. So as leaders, we have to lead with those values. Every time we have a meeting, we should be talking about our values. A significant meeting. I mean, if it's you and I just having a chat about something very minor, we don't need to spend a whole lot of time talking about the values before that. But any significant meetings that you're having at least once a week is starting those meetings off, again, focusing in on what's most important to this business. It's how we lead. It's how we're leading this business into the future and focusing on those values. So that's a system. The system is anytime we have a meeting, a weekly meeting of our team, we're always going to focus in on the values first. And whether that's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you create it. It's your business, but create a system around that. And you as a leader can't ever let up. So the one thing people know when I get up in front of a group, whether it's as co-chair as a company-wide meeting, at an annual convention, the one thing everybody knows is Dina's going to talk about values. Now, she may talk about some other systems, what we're doing in getting Get Neighborly launched. She may talk about other things like that, but the thing she's going to talk about first are values. And so that's the system I would encourage your listeners. It's the one thing that I can help them with the most today is that clarity of values and creating the system around how you're going to keep those values front and center.
So even if you're a one-person organization, should you have values?
Absolutely. Because you can't get to a two-person organization if you don't know what your values are, because you might hire the wrong person.
Okay, so people don't understand this though. So when I talk about company values, people assume, well, I have to be a company in order to have values. And you're like, well, no, that's not exactly how it works, right?
Even if you're a student out there, Jaime, listening to this because you aspire to be an entrepreneur, if you're a student out there, I would say you need to get clarity of values. If you're attending the local UT in Austin, be clear about your values, because the world can control you. If you don't control yourself and know who you are and what you stand for, it's so easy to get sucked in to a world of negativity and things that aren't what you want. So as a student, I would say, get clear about your values. And the same tool I'm going to offer to all your other listeners would apply to a student, to a single mother, to, again, somebody running a nonprofit, to somebody running a church. Frankly, the system around these values can apply to anybody.
Oh, I want to check that out too. I mean, even just the family values that we have is insane. We have it in a painting downstairs. I made them make it up with me, right? Focused attention is one of them. So people aren't on their phones, right? My kids are electronic people. So am I, right?
Yeah.
And so making that a really, really important value, like none of this anywhere, is something that I can point to. Hey, you guys came up with this. Just saying.
Yeah,
you want me to do that? Yeah. You want me to do that? You got to do it too, right? And it really does make everything better, because that's sort of, that's your core. And sometimes, unfortunately, we're so busy we forget about what is core important to us as we're going through. This has been awesome. I know we have to start wrapping up in just a minute, but I wholly, wholly appreciate it. And I'm really excited for that tool. So that way everybody can put the time and effort into company values right now. I've seen it with my clients and they're like, oh, that's why we do this, right? They don't realize until after the fact, oh, now when I hire, I'm paying attention to this. And I did this wrong also. I can't say anything. I hired an Eeyore is what we always said, because I'm positive and one of my company values is positivity. And that's, you could tell. That was very, very, very easy to tell. But sometimes it's harder, especially something like having fun. You're like, well, are they having fun? Are they that kind of person? Are they not? So I love the nuances that you said of all your company values, which is killer. So I'm going to ask you the last question that I always ask. I'm hoping that's when you'll give us a tool, but we'll find out. What's one action listeners can take this week to help move them forward towards their goal of $1 million?
Okay, this is so easy. So they can just go to DinaDwyerOwens.com, and that's, again, DinaDwyer Owens.com. And the Create Your Culture Workshop tool is just right there. I mean, when they get to the first screen, all they have to do is press, I want the Create Your Culture tool, and it'll download for them. It's 6 simple steps, Jaime. They're not easy, so I don't want to kid anybody. Because if you have not gotten clarity of your values, it's going to take some time for you to be thoughtful. I'd go away to a quiet place. And sometimes I even just go to a bookstore and sit in a quiet corner of a bookstore. Yeah, everybody's got a space that gives them a chance to be most creative. I'd go to that most creative place and be very thoughtful. And if you're a one man operation, one woman operation, um, still get started. And if you're a team of 4 or 5, then I would invite you to have your team participate in this. And that's instructions in the workbook. So 6 steps basically starts with clarity of your values, getting alignment amongst the team. So making sure the team that you have, the core team, especially the leadership team, agrees with those values, creating behavior statements. So what are the accountability statements that tie to those values? So there's clear expectations of what we expect from either our kids or our team members. How are you going to test those values? So then you need to kind of take it out and test it. One of the things we did at Dwyer that's so much fun that your listeners can do is we gave the team members the opportunity to beep us. So as a leadership team, we introduced the new values and we gamified it. So we said, hey guys, here's this code of values. We want you to study them. And anytime you find a management team member violating a value, just give us a verbal beep. So literally, Jaime, it was beep, 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 beep. It was like the Roadrunner was racing through our headquarters, beeping us like crazy. So give people a chance to give feedback so you can see where you've got opportunities for improvement. Create fun around it. So, have this system. So be clear about what is our system for keeping the values front and center daily, weekly, monthly in our businesses. And don't do it only monthly. It really should be daily. And then measure your performance. So survey your team members. So maybe once a year, put a survey out and say, how are we doing? How am I doing? How am I doing living up to these values? Rate me one by one. We ask our franchisees to rate us on how we're living up to the values, because it's one thing to have values, but if you're not facing the truth again about how you're doing, then you're kind of wasting time. Your values should be so indoctrinated into your organization that when it comes to making difficult decisions, your team, your mind automatically goes to, what value do we need to look at as we make this decision? It doesn't make the decision making easier. It just makes it clear.
And once it's a habit, you don't have that incongruency. And because I love the beeping. Who does that?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear how wrong they are on things. So go you guys for doing that.
Oh, man. We could have gotten depressed, but we said, look, the team cares enough. They really studied these and they beeped us right and left. And after we brought them together, after we did 90 days of beeping and we brought them back together, we said, what do you guys think? And they said, we love it because you guys, you took it. You took the beeping from us. And then they added the one value I said that was the hardest, never say anything about anyone that you wouldn't say to him or her. And the beautiful thing about it is, as leaders, we held ourselves accountable and we said, we're a pretty good company already. If we really implemented these values, how much better, how much higher could the bar be? And because of that, our company has grown almost 100% the last 3 years because we have never let go of the importance of our values. We're not perfect, but we work hard to live up to them every day.
I love seeing this. I knew you had said the values before. Oh, you're the value person of the entire company. How, of course you are. That makes so much sense. I so appreciate you coming on. So everybody make sure you check out the website she gave you. We will definitely link to it. If you did not remember, make sure you go to the show notes and you can click on a link and get it that way. And I will make sure we post it on social and everywhere else too, because everybody now is like, okay, I have to go do this. This is this important. So where else are you online? Are you on social media? Can we follow you anywhere and your wise words?
Yeah, if you'll just go to dinadwyerowens.com, it'll give you access to my Twitter handle, my Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. And if anybody's interested, we're always looking for great people, Jaime. So if anybody knows of anybody that they think might be interested in a franchise opportunity, we're looking for great people that are aligned with our values to join our team. We've got lots of white space. We've got some good white space in the U.S. and Canada in particular that we need to fill out to make sure our neighborly brand can really take good care of customers nationwide.
That's all. I'm sure a lot of people are listening to this going, how much training do they have? Oh my, yeah, okay. I don't really want to do this. Or marketing issues. Yes, please just tell me what to do. Because it's frustrating. It's frustrating to try and do on your own. I totally understand.
It does simplify it.
Thank you so much for coming on today. I so appreciate it.
Thank you, Jaime. All the best.
Thank you for listening and investing in yourself with your time. I so appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would be forever grateful if you would be willing to leave a rating or review in whatever app you use for your podcast. I know that's what really bumps it up in the rankings. And I would so appreciate your time, especially if you've been a long time listener. But of course, if you like this episode and you're brand new, thank you for being here too. Have an amazing, amazing day.